What is going on, everybody? I'm Matt from SBFishingTV here with Mystery Tackle Box. Today we're going to be throwing around some buzzbaits and spinnerbaits, and we're going to get into why to throw these, when to throw them, where to throw them, and we're going to catch some fish on them too. So before we get into fishing, let's take a look at these weapons of bass destruction that I got in this month's Mystery Tackle Box. So first up is going to be a soft plastic styled buzzbait. This is from Big O's Game Changer Lures, and this is the Eliminator. So the Eliminator is a soft plastic styled buzzbait, as I just said, and this is going to be something that you're going to throw around heavy vegetation, whether that's hydrilla, really just heavy muck, or you're fishing really heavy wood that you can't throw a spinnerbait or a buzzbait through. I'm throwing it on 65-pound braid and a 7-foot extra heavy rod. So again, this is just a cast and retrieve kind of deal, but it works really well, and definitely the best presentation you can throw in heavy vegetation. Next up, we're going to take a look at the two buzzbaits we're going to be throwing today. First up is the Demiki MTB buzzbait. The second buzzbait we're going to be throwing around today is the Castaic buzzbait. So this is another really good looking buzzbait. This one does not have that clacker on it, which sometimes will get you more bites. I don't know what it is. Sometimes the fish like the clacker, sometimes they don't. Generally in dirtier water situations, I like one with the clacker. When it's a little bit cleaner and you need to go just like a tad bit more finesse, or I guess be a little bit quieter, that's when I'll pick up the one without the clacker. So one thing I want to show you guys really quickly, what I do with all of my buzzbaits is, if you take a look at this little spacer here at the bottom, how it moves, I like to clamp it down there so it doesn't move at all. I like it to stay really tight onto that wire. So what that's going to do is, when the spacer is stuck down there on that arm, when you're pulling this bait through the water and the blade's pushed up against it, it's going to create that really nice squeaky noise. I like when buzzbaits have that high-pitched squeak. I think it attracts the fish a little bit more, and it sounds really good coming through the water. So that is the second buzzbait that we're going to be throwing. So now that we've gone over our buzzbaits, let's take a look at our spinnerbaits we're going to be throwing around today. And first up, we have Catchco's spinnerbait. Really good looking spinnerbait. It has a hand-tied skirt. We have a silver and gold willow leaf blade on there, and this is a 3/8 ounce spinnerbait. Generally I'm going to throw a 3/8 to a 1/2 ounce. I don't really shy away from those two in size. But what I really like about this one specifically, especially for today, this one has a nice gold willow leaf blade on top. The water we're fishing is a little bit stained, so that puts off a little bit of extra flash. Another thing is that these two willow leaf blades are going to be fished perfectly through the grass. It doesn't get hung up like a Colorado blade or an Indiana blade. So this is another really good one. As you guys can see, I threw a small boot-tailed styled swim bait on there. I always like to throw my spinnerbaits with a trailer. I think it helps key those fish in on the hook and just to really get in there and eat it. Last but not least, we have the Dobbins D-blade spinnerbait. So this one is very similar to the Catchco spinnerbait I was just talking about to you guys. This is a 3/8 ounce spinnerbait, 2 willow leaf blades. It has a super sharp mustad hook and a custom designed head on there. So something else I really like about this specific spinnerbait is it has really great trailer keepers on there. And as I was just telling you guys, I always throw my spinnerbaits with trailers. You can see it has that little double collar on there. It holds the bait in really nice. You don't have to constantly slide it back up the hook. It looks really good. And this one also has a hand-tied skirt, which always looks great. It's not gonna get all messed up when you catch a couple fish on it. So we're gonna get up here and we're gonna try to catch a couple fish in the grass. We are gonna start the day off throwing a spinnerbait. We're gonna start with the Dobbins D-blade, and we're gonna talk about first the obvious difference between a spinnerbait and a buzzbait. So a spinnerbait sinks, a buzzbait is supposed to be fished on top. You can fish a spinnerbait just about anywhere in the water column. You can wake it on top, you can bring it through the middle for suspended fish, or you can slow roll it on the bottom. So your versatility is going to be a little bit higher with the spinnerbait, but sometimes those fish in shallow water just really like the buzzbait more. They're going to react to it harder, they're going to eat it harder, they're just going to want it. They're gonna absolutely crush it sometimes, and those days are the ones that you're gonna have to just be out on the water and figure it out. Generally, when it comes to buzzbait fishing, I'm gonna fish that in 7 feet or less of water, and I like to fish it around vegetation or around wood. I'm throwing both of these spinnerbaits on 7-foot medium heavy rods with 15-pound fluorocarbon. That has just become the sweet spot for spinnerbaits for me. That's pretty much the only setup that I throw it on. I'll throw it on a little bit bigger rod sometimes, you know, 7.2, 7.3, but that 7-foot medium heavy range just really can't be beat for spinnerbaits. To fish the spinnerbait, I'm gonna fish this from early spring, like when the water hits 50 degrees, or we'll say 45, and I'm gonna fish it all the way through fall until that water gets down into the 50s again. As far as the buzzbait, I'm gonna fish that once the water hits 60 and fish it all the way through fall as well until the water hits about 60 again. But they're both great spring, summer, fall baits. You know, you can cover a ton of freaking water with both of them. And as far as the buzzbait goes, there's no better bite than a buzzbait bite. When I'm throwing the buzzbait, I'm gonna make as long as a cast as I can. I'm gonna immediately start reeling as soon as it hits the water. Sometimes I'm gonna try to engage that reel before it even hits the water. I'm gonna keep the rod at about 11 o'clock, just like this, so when that fish does eat, you're ready to rear into them. You wanna let them eat the buzzbait for like 2 seconds. The other reason you wanna hold your rod tip up is so it keeps that buzzbait on top of the water. So when you're holding your rod like that, it's naturally just going to keep it on top of the water column, just buzzing along, and that's exactly what you want. You can do different retrieves with it. Generally, I'm going to cast it out and just give it that steady retrieve. There are a couple different ways you can fish this. A lot of people cast and retrieve just at that moderate pace so that buzzbait's right on top. A lot of people barely turn it too, so it's just barely bubbling the surface. And sometimes that works really well if you're finding you're getting a lot of short strikes. They just eat it a little bit more and it's being fished slower, so I guess they have a little bit better chance to eat it. But for the most part, when I'm fishing it, I'm casting and retrieving, just giving it that nice, quick retrieve. Both spinnerbait and buzzbaits are very much reaction baits. So the fish that are eating this, they're just coming up to swat at it, basically. So a situation where the buzzbait is gonna trump the spinnerbait as far as fishability goes is something like right now. We're experiencing a low tide, so all the grass is right at the surface of the water. Now you can still fish this through the grass pretty well, but that being said, the buzzbait's gonna be a little bit more effective in covering the water, whereas you can fish over top of the entire grass bed, but you know, you throw a spinnerbait through it, it's gonna get caught, it's gonna get grass on it like that. It's gonna hinder that action of this thing, so that could definitely be one of those times where you wanna try picking up the buzzbait. Even if it's the middle of the day, like right now, I just caught one with the sun straight out over top of this grass, so that's something you definitely wanna keep in mind. All right, my friends, that's gonna be it for me today. I really hope you enjoyed this video on fishing buzzbaits and spinnerbaits. Let me know in the comment section below which one of these two are your favorite. Mine, definitely the buzzbait. But make sure you hit that subscribe button on Mystery Tackle Box's YouTube channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.